Israel had shown how Jews could take fate into their own hands and prevail. Israel's stunning success had moved Soviet Jews, at great personal risk and against enormous odds, to demand their freedom. Steve and his generation of American Jewish leaders were inspired to fight with them and for them.
The movement to free Soviet Jews was one of the most important things that any of us did in our lives. Steve played a critical role in mobilizing the Chicago Jewish community and communities nationwide. He was a leader. Freedom Sunday in 1987 was a turning point. There were 250,000 people from around the country, from as far away, spanning from New York City all the way to Hawaii. It was fabulous, because nobody had ever mobilized like this for the Jewish people. And Steve helped galvanize to make it happen. We sent many plane loads of people from Chicago.
I remember that day on the Mall in '87, where hundreds of thousands came. Gorbachev was meeting with Reagan. It was an extraordinary moment of peoplehood, of solidarity. And then, of course, the gates swinging open, and the Operation Exodus program, and the resettlement of more than 1 million Jews in Israel, which really was transformed Israel's society, and we resettled over 30,000 in Chicago, which was an extraordinary thing.
This is perhaps the most significant Jewish event since the establishment of the State of Israel. For 20 years or more, we've been talking about freeing Soviet Jewry and moving Soviet Jewry, and the opportunity really is now.
None of us who were participants in that were heroes. We had a U.S. passport. We could leave anytime we wanted. The heroes were the people we visited: Slaypak and Lerner and Yosef Begu and Ida Nudel, the Sharanskys and many more. These were the former Jews of silence, taking on the mighty and evil empire. If you don't think we're an eternal people, take a half a step back and think about this period of 50 years and what was achieved.
The commitment to liberate fellow Jews whenever and wherever they were in peril was also exemplified by Operation Moses, the rescue and resettlement of Ethiopian Jews. Their 2,000-year exile came to an end in the 1980s and 1990s. Steve's first encounter with these lost Jews came in a remote village.
We're in Gondor, and we go to our first village, and they had a Torah, and they were very proud of that Torah. But I go to look at the Torah, and I glance, and of course, it's exactly at the point that I left off 3 days ago. That was my first kind of aha moment in terms of, oh, wow. I don't know why I didn't think that was the case, but it kind of grabbed me in a pretty significant way. These really are our brothers and sisters. And in one such village, in terms of my second aha moment, a young man came up to me in English, good English actually, and very quickly asked me, after the introductions, is it safe for me to go? So I'm in I think it was an Ambover within Gondor, and this, I don't know, 20-year-old person maybe, is asking me a question, and my answer actually may make a difference in terms of the life and death of this individual. I never had a moment like that ever. And that moment, in terms of that, again, was kind of searing in terms of the importance of the work that we all do, that we kind of like, yeah, we're all brothers and sisters, and Klal Yisrael, Zeh B'Zeh, and all of that stuff, but there's some reality to it. And in this case, it was very personal in terms of, oh my gosh, what am I being asked to respond to?
Steve subsequently was a key architect of Operation Moses in 1984, which rescued 8,000 Ethiopian Jews to Israel, and Operation Solomon in 1991, the dramatic and massive aliyah of some 14,000 people in 18 hours.
It worked. It worked, and one, because of the skill of some very special people in Jerusalem, on the Prime Minister's staff. It worked because of the skill of the JDC. It worked with the skill of the American Jewish philanthropic community that provided the wherewithal to wire funds to the Swiss bank account which lifted the exit gates. Planes came in, the people exited, and the rest is history.
Sometimes I have to pinch myself in terms of the extraordinary success we've had in terms of bringing assets together. But Chicago by itself doesn't make a Soviet Jewry movement. Chicago by itself doesn't move 120,000 Ethiopian Jews. We have to do that with all of Israel. Federation has to be that table where all Jews feel comfortable. Reform, Orthodox, right wing, left wing, in the middle, they all gotta be part of this. And if we, God forbid, lose a piece of that big table, we're losing a lot. It's important to have that kind of diversity and engagement together. So I'd like to think that concept of collective activity, of doing things together, of doing on behalf of a collective, is deeply rooted in the Chicago experience.